Recently I was in the local Dollar Tree and I checked out the dollar books. And I saw this one. It is the Fear Index by Robert Harris. And it has a really nice tactile cover, so I thought if they spent that much on the cover, the book probably was good. Well, the book was okay. However, there was one passage from it that kind of haunted me. Let me read it to you. But why should El Cueto arouse more fear than the threat of mutually assured destruction did during the Cold War in the 50s and 60s? Our conclusion is that digitalization itself is creating an epidemic of fear, and that Epictetus, that's Epictetus, had it right. We live in a world not of real things, but of opinion and fantasy. The rise in the market volatility, in our opinion, is a function of digitalization, which is exaggerating human mood swings by the unprecedented dissemination of information via the internet. Let's talk about that a bit.
We are all used to the fear-mongering of the media to increase their market share. The slogan, "If it bleeds, let it lead," is evident every time you watch the news. The media wants to grab your attention. I was reading an article by Deborah Serrani entitled, "If it bleeds, it leads, Understanding Fear-Based Media." Here's a quote from that article. "The success of fear-based news relies on presenting dramatic anecdotes in place of scientific evidence, promoting isolated events as trends, depicting categories of people as dangerous, and replacing optimism with fatalistic thinking." Unquote. News conglomerates who want to achieve this use something called media logic by tweaking the rhythm, grammar, and presentation format of news stories to elicit the greatest impact. In fact, some news stations work with consultants who offer fear-based topics that are pre-scripted, outlined with point-of-view shots, and have experts at the ready. This is called stunting or just add water reporting. Often these practices present misleading information and promote anxiety or fear in the user. The advent of 24-hour news networks and the newstainment networks have increased fear reporting. Additionally, what should be a local story is now publicized nationwide. For instance, why is a child's kidnapping often national news instead of local news? It used to be local, not national. I was reading an article by Gavin DeBecker entitled Media Fear Tactics, and he gave example of what is called fear newspeak. And here are some of the words. Possible. You can see how that can be used because just about anything is possible. Links. Well, you can link anything to something else, but it doesn't mean that it is relevant. Our nations. Often you see this for our nation's water supply or our nation's power. Could. Well, again, kind of like possible. Something could happen, or perhaps, or something might have the potential. Again, it might. Experts fear, or experts say it's just a matter of time before. Hear that one a lot. And naming is also fear speak, such as naming a criminal like the Boston Strangler, for instance, or a weather event such as the snowpocalypse. In fact, the Weather Channel in 2012 started naming winter storms as a way to gain publicity. DeBecker also constructed a mock TV news report to illustrate newspeak and media tactics. His inspiration was his assistant's whose wrist was injured when a dog bit her. So here we go. The teaser. Next up, dog bites, the bone-crushing power of dogs. Experts warn that even friendly dogs can bite, sometimes without provocation, and they're everywhere. A new government study estimates as many as 300 dogs per square mile, with the numbers climbing each year. How many backyards in your neighborhood are hiding a deadly menace? We'll tell you what experts say when we come back. Now we have the story. A shocking bite from the dog everyone described as a little angel leaves one area woman nursing her wounds. Dog jaw experts say that even a small dog can produce as much as 500 pounds of biting force, and given the rate at which dogs breed, it's just a matter of time before more people are placed at risk. A former employee with the Department of Health says hospitals are unprepared for a major increase in dog bites, and officials are closely monitoring the situation that could pose a deadly threat to our nation's neighborhood. Disturbing questions have been raised about loopholes in the licensing system, and observers point out that dogs who bite can receive license and be released into neighborhoods. So now we have the wrap-up. It's no surprise that many local residents are living in fear. You never know when somebody is walking their dog right behind you. We're scared, said a local resident. Officials say links between the recent dog bite and one that occurred in the tiny towns of Ames, Iowa, have not been confirmed, but either way, it's a nightmare few will ever forget, and one that many fear will not be over in the morning. Well, the article certainly sounded legit, didn't it? But we all know better after our short lesson in Newspeak. Another recent example of Newspeak was when CNN organized a televised discussion table around the topic, quote, Ebola, the ISIS of biological agents, unquote. CNN anchor Ashley Banfield even speculated that the Islamic State could send militants to Ebola hot zones to get infected and then send them to the U.S. Talk about fear-mongering. Later, CNN had to concede that Ebola is not the ISIS of biological agents. Do you remember the Summer of the Shark? In 2001, there was a media frenzy over shark attacks. Wikipedia summarizes, the sensational coverage of shark attacks began in early July following the 4th of July weekend shark attack on 8-year-old Jesse Arbogast, and continued almost unabated despite no evidence for an actual increase in attacks until the September 11th terrorist attacks shifted the media's attention away from beaches. The Summer of the Shark has since been remembered as an example of tabloid television, perpetuating a story with no real merit beyond its ability to draw ratings. According to the International Shark Attack File, there were 76 shark attacks that occurred in 2001, lower than 85 attacks documented in 2000. Furthermore, although 5 people were killed in attacks in 2001, this was less than the 12 deaths caused by shark attacks the previous year. Now please note, I did quote from Wikipedia, but I also checked the facts. Wikipedia can be inaccurate. We also have to be very cognizant of how governments use fear to manipulate the populace. In the book Terrorism and the Politics of Fear, written by Altheed, it documents how decision makers promote and use fear to push their own political agendas and exact more social control over citizens. Now, this is one subject where we see a lot of coverage on YouTube. Unfortunately, however, the claims are often not based on factual information, just supposition. A young YouTuber who I subscribe to stated that he was living in the worst time of American history. His comment really surprised me. I countered with events that happened in my grade school years: the Vietnam conflict, Bay of Pigs, East Germany erecting the Berlin Wall, the Cuba Missile Crisis, the assassination of President Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Senator Robert Kennedy, Selma, Alabama, with the Civil Rights Movement, race riots in Detroit and many other major cities, North Korea seizing the U.S. Pueblo, the My Lai Massacre, etc. Many, many fantastic things also happened in my grade school years. I think the epitome was watching a man walk on the moon, especially since it was on a color TV that my mom had to run out and buy, and we had the first color TV in the neighborhood, and everybody came over to watch Buzz Aldrin walk on the moon. I couldn't help but asking him why he felt that way. He just stated we would have to agree to disagree. The middle schooler watches a lot of prepping videos and shows, thus he may have a narrow view of America's well-being. Still, it was disheartening to hear such a young person express his pessimistic views. Americans have been known for their optimism even in the most difficult of times. However, according to recent polls, our optimism is in decline. The reason? Well, most feel because of the media fear tactics and Americans' fascination with news entertainment. This does not bode well for the youth of our country. I'm afraid the YouTube community is also to blame. Many YouTubers also sensationalize events and increase subscribers' fear. Recently, media and YouTubers alike grossly overestimated the danger of Ebola in the U.S. Yes, it would be quite a threat if it became airborne. However, so would many other diseases. Think of rabies. Can you imagine hordes of people, I suppose the media would call them rabid zombies, foaming at the mouth trying to bite anyone they see? I urge all YouTubers to do sufficient research before posting a threat. Take time to verify that your content is accurate. Always check the facts. Don't present an item as fact if it is only opinion. Say that it's your opinion.
I believe as preppers, our role is to inform and help others prepare, not incite fear and panic. I hope this little examination of Newspeak helps you sort fact from fiction when you are watching YouTube videos or the news. And don't let the government manipulate your fear index either. As one of my old favorite shows, The X-Files, pointed out, the truth is out there. The problem is it's just so damn hard to find. This is Prepper Potpourri saying subscribe and share the knowledge, and thumbs up if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching.